In this video, we are going to look at alternate ways of doing ETL processing using non-SQL code. There are plenty of different languages that you can use besides SQL to perform ETL processing. These include Microsoft's CSharp, Microsoft's PowerShell, other non-Microsoft technologies such as Python, Java, or JavaScript. Because we are using mostly Microsoft technology in this course, we're going to focus on the Microsoft technologies of CSharp and PowerShell. I will show you an example of Python as well, just so that you can understand how similar things are. Let's take a look at those scripts now. The first example we're looking at is the CSharp example, in which case I've created a console application. Console applications are one that run from a command prompt. The code here starts off in the main module or method, and what it does is it opens a file for reading. Now I have a file in a folder on my C drive called email data. It's a very simple file. And what it has in it, let me open it here. It's just a list of names. My goal is to read through that list of names and present it or display it in the command shell window. By writing this code to read the lines out of there and do a loop through each line and print it out, I get this result. You can see that it's gone through and read each line of the text presented in the command window. Applications like this one run from a command window by pointing to an executable file on the hard drive. Paste that in and run. You can see that it runs from here. Of course, you can also do things that, for convenience, like place a shortcut on the desktop, and then every time you double-click on the shortcut, it will go ahead and run your code. So that's an example of using C#. We will now take a look at using PowerShell. PowerShell's language is very similar to C#. It's just a little more relaxed. You can open up a PowerShell editor by finding the ISE integrated scripting environment. If you're running Windows 10, you can just click on the Windows icon and type in ISE, and you should be able to find it. Earlier versions of Windows operating system, you'd have to download and install it yourself. When that opens, you'll see an environment like this, in which case you can make new scripting files and type in code similar to this. This code says, go ahead and get the content from that same file, and then for each line in that file, write out the code. Very, very similar to what we saw in C#. However, as I said, the scripting language is more relaxed. You do not have to declare data types, and things like writing a line to the command window is just a little simpler. Also, semicolons in PowerShell are optional. They will work, but are not required. Similar to the SQL Server language. When this code runs, you'll see the results are displayed in this console window. We'll clear it out and run it again. There we go. It's doing so by running the PowerShell exe file, much like our console application, but passing over the scripting file to be processed. Now that we've looked at two Microsoft examples, let's take a look at Python. Python is an open source, non-Microsoft scripting language, but it works very similar. What happens is that there is a Python exe file. You make a Python py file and send it to the exe for processing. This code, as you can see, is very similar. Again, it opens up a file, and then for each line in the file, I print out the results, and finally close the file when I'm done. It also runs very similar. You can see my results. There are indeed similarities between all of the languages. When using non-SQL code for ETL processing, the choice is yours as to what language you want to use. Well, actually, it may be yours, or maybe it's your company's. They may have a language that they want you to use. In any case, using C# or PowerShell are fine tools for doing ETL processing, and we will take a look at in detail about how that can be done, using that example file that we saw that contained names and emails. We will not look into Python, Java, or JavaScript in this module. However, there's nothing wrong with any of those languages. In fact, there are plenty of other languages you can choose as well. Still, we have to focus on something, and so next we're going to go ahead and start looking at a simple example of how to use C# to create an ETL process.